Need the coffee. So I think it's cafecito time.
Cafecito time.
Oh, cafecito time.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Cafecito and Canes, and welcome to the official preview and prediction show for Miami versus Ole Miss for the Fiesta Bowl. I'm gonna say this, and I'm not gonna take. You can't take these things for granted, so I'm gonna take my time saying this. Okay, even though I know Mario Cristobal, yes, he's building something sustainable, and I think building something to last, and we could be winning for a long time, or not. You never know. Early 2000s, I thought that was going to go on forever, so I do not take these things for granted. I'm going to say this once, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to savor it. Miami is one win away from playing in the national championship game. Did we did any of us truly believe that that was going to be the case, that we'd be here sitting in the Final Four, one win away from playing in the national championship? I got to tell you, I knew it was, hey, if we could get that far, that would be a phenomenal season. I thought, yeah, it's possible, but really my goal was get to the playoffs, see where you go from there. But honestly, this, in my wildest dreams, I knew it could happen and it was possible, but I thought the chances were slim. But we're here in the Fiesta Bowl. 2 days from now, on January 8th, we will be playing the Ole Miss Rebels, representing the SEC. Okay, and the Ole Miss Rebels, they are one hell of a team. They have a hell of an offense. And we're going to go into some of the strengths and weaknesses and what I think we can exploit, what I think they can exploit on our end, and my prediction, along with a score prediction. So towards the end, you guys can feel free to give me your score predictions in the comments. But before I do that, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to do that. And also hit the notification bell. But yeah, this really could be our toughest test yet. I know Ohio State, defending national champs, probably the best team in the country. Everybody had us at 8.5, 9.5 point underdogs, but we still came through, pulled off the upset, got the victory, a victory that I will be celebrating in my mind for a long time because that was a huge one. That was, we slayed Goliath, folks. That was a big demon that Miami needed to exercise for many reasons. One of which being that Ohio State does come in here and steal a lot of our recruits, and they have over the years. Hopefully that victory, and I think not hopefully, I think it will have some positive ripple effects for Miami in recruiting moving forward. But we needed to get some get back for 2002. We needed that. Beating them in 2011 didn't count. Both teams sucked. It wasn't the same. Ending their season the way we did made it all that much sweeter. But now we're here. We're facing a very talented, athletic, fast Ole Miss Rebels team. And I like our chances in this one, but there are certain things we need to watch out for. We'll get to the comments really quick. Daryl, what up, John? Go Canes. Let's take this thing home to Hard Rock for the Natty. That's the other thing. We got a chance to play, not just for the national championship, play for it at home in our backyard. Just one more win, and we'll be able to do that. Kind of getting a sense Miami fans think this game can be a cakewalk. We're already looking to play at home. I think that's because, yes, I do get that sense too. That's because we just beat Ohio State, and they were the big bad wolf kind of in the tournament, and we took them out already. So I think that's why people are thinking that. I'm certainly not thinking that. Ole Miss is in the Final Four for a reason, and I'm personally taking them very seriously. But I do think we have an advantage in the trenches. I do like us looking ahead like all fans and sports podcasters are doing. I don't like us. On the other hand, we shut down Gus's crazy plays, Texas A&M's offense, Ohio State's, but Ole Miss has me worried because the players stay locked in because the fans hate. I will say this about Ole Miss. They've been playing with a chip on their shoulder the entire season. because their coaching situation with Lane Kiffin has been in flux the entire year. There have been coaching rumors about him leaving at the end of the season or whatever. There have been rumors about him since the beginning of the year. And eventually that all those rumors came to fruition because he left before the season was over. Right before they were about to start their playoff run, left to LSU. And now you're left with like half a coaching staff basically to coach in this Miami game. I think that's just going to give them an even bigger chip on their shoulder to play with, to be quite honest with you. So I don't look at that as an advantage really in a one-game scenario like this. I like what Cristobal said, what Heatherman said. They were all kind of downplaying it, that like, no, it doesn't really change our approach or our preparation, nor should it. It really shouldn't. But Miami, this is your classic finesse and speed versus power matchup. I know in the past, whenever Miami was the more finesse team, they would get pounded by teams like this. So I'm happy to have the power style team with the D line that all four of them are probably going to play on Sundays. Two of them could possibly go in the first round. Where did you get that hat? I got this hat at Hollister. I think they have it online. But with the advantages that we have in the trenches, I think if all we have to do is slow the game down, don't get beat too much on defense, make your tackles in the open field, don't let Chambliss out of the pocket and make plays on the run, especially throwing to his right. Stay disciplined, really. And I think, honestly, we should be okay. Where I think we have a major advantage, and nobody's talking about this, is when we're on offense, when we have the ball, we have a mammoth offensive line that are, at this point, they're gelling, they're pretty lathered up. They're not having the issues they had middle of the year. They're run blocking well, they're pass blocking well. They're clicking on all cylinders right now. Hopefully that continues, but this O-line's looking strong. They're looking healthy, and I think we're going to lean on them. And if it's close in the fourth quarter, huge advantage Miami. If we can limit the amount of times, if we could limit Ole Miss to having 8 or 9 possessions the entire game, huge advantage for Miami. So Miami's going to pretty much be playing Mario ball here. They're going to be doing what they've done the entire playoffs, what they did against Florida, what they did against Notre Dame. Ball control. Ball control is going to be paramount. You got to keep the ball off the turf now. It didn't hurt us too much, thankfully, but we had 4 fumbles in the Ohio State game. I think we recovered 2 or 3 of them. Okay, so that's got to be a point of emphasis, or that had to have been a point of emphasis this week in practice. I'm sure it was. I know Coach Cristobal mentioned it. I know Coach Dawson mentioned it. Ball security has always been a point of emphasis for Mario Cristobal coach teams. This week more than ever, I'm sure it was. You look for them to keep 2 hands on the ball whenever they're in the open field about to take a hit. So keep the ball off the turf. Carson Beck, who has struggled mightily against Ole Miss in the past, I would hopefully Coach Dawson and that offensive line giving him all day to throw and having the support of a running game behind him, hopefully that'll negate the issues he had when he was at Georgia. It's a completely different situation that Carson Beck is in now. I don't consider the two situations the same at all. He's now in his 6th year. He's struggled against Ole Miss in his career a couple of times. I think Carson Beck's going to be looking for some get back, but he's got to do it unselfishly. Take the check down when it's there. Don't try to do too much. Don't be feeling yourself, just like stay within the game plan like he's been doing. He's been the perfect game manager, especially in that Ohio State game. A&M, he struggled a bit. That was more because of the wind more than anything. Miami had pretty much all day to throw unless they sent extra guys against Ohio State. I think Ole Miss is going to be no different. Our offensive line, big advantage against their defensive line, against their front 7. Carson will have a lot of time to throw the ball. The checkdowns will be there. And now they got to watch out for Carson tucking the ball and running with it. Now he's put that on tape, so that's something they got to watch out for, which could loosen things up for Malachi Toney again. Also, our offensive line against their D-line in the run game, huge advantage Miami. So I really believe we have the advantage there on offense. Do not fall behind, though, because that's where we can try. That's where we can find ourselves getting into a shootout with them. While I do think the big plays will be there, Miami really will want to get ahead early. This is not a team that you want to fall behind 14 points, 17 points against, for sure. And Miami really, against a good team like Ole Miss, they're not built to come back in a game like that. However, Miami goes up 7, goes up 10 early. Good luck. With our defense and our ball control, good luck. Now on defense, you got to watch out for those fades. They throw them a lot. One-on-one coverage by the corners. They got to continue to do good jobs, continue to be sticky, and make plays. So it's really a lot of this is going to come down to the playmakers on the outside. We did get some pretty good news in the injury report that O.J. Frederick was listed as probable, which is excellent. Usually probable is very good. Damari Brown listed as questionable, but he's had a little extra time to get right, get healed up. So hopefully Damari is available, even if it's for like 15, 20 snaps. I would love that if Damari's available. Ahmad Moten, very important guy. I think he was also listed as questionable. Usually that means they're at least, participating in practice, trying to get healthy, trying to get ready. So, questionable, probable, good sign. They're on the right track. And that was yesterday. So, they have an extra couple of days to continue to heal up. So what you don't want is doubtful. If you're in the doubtful column, that's not good. Chances of playing are a little slimmer. So I feel a little better once that injury report came out, especially with OJ, because initially it looked like OJ really had gotten hurt. It looked to me like it was a cramp, the way they were stretching him out on the sideline, but then they carted him off. He was in a boot, all that stuff. It's looking like OJ's on track. Hopefully he stays on track to come back and be able to play in this game, because he played a huge role in the Ohio State game. He shut down a couple of deep pass attempts to Carnell Tate. Had pretty good coverage on Jeremiah Smith on that one play. Jeremiah just straight pushed off of him. They didn't call anything, but that's fine. They let him play, which I hope they let him do in this game as well. I really hope Dawson adds running back screens in his playbook the next couple of games. Pringle would bust it wide open. I would love that too, but that's something he rarely does for whatever reason. But yeah, we'll see. I definitely think it's a big must to stop Lacey. Yes, absolutely. Lacey's a little bit banged up, but, he's still going to give it his all. Obviously, he's one of the best running backs in the country. Very hard to stop. Him being able to gash you for big plays is a big part of why their passing game is effective. You shut him down, which we have been able to shut down premier running backs. Look what we did to Jeremiah Love, 33 rushing yards. If you could have a game like that against Lacey and really make them one-dimensional where they get a little desperate, again, advantage Miami. Now, the challenge there is you got to get Trinidad Shambliss to the ground when you have him in your sights. Georgia had him in their sights many times, and they failed to make the play. Now, Georgia could have taken that game to overtime. I thought Georgia managed that game very poorly. That second fake punt, what the heck was that? On the final possession, I don't know why they're going zero coverage. I mean, the way they managed that game made no sense to me. They went away from the physicality. Also, they just kind of forgot Zachariah Branch was on their team. Just in all facets, it was a very weirdly managed game by Georgia. It seemed like for a moment there they had him by the throat and they let him go. And that's when Shambliss started making magic. I think we have an advantage athletically and speed-wise on defense over Georgia. So those plays where they could have tackled Shambliss in the open field or forced him to his left and force him to throw the ball away, I think Miami will be a little more effective in those plays and be able to close that gap get the sacks, get home, force incompletions, force mistakes maybe. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. That's the thing with Chambliss. But I think Miami is a little bit more capable than Georgia's defense was. My Longhorns will spank all these 4 teams. Okay. I mean, they did lose 3 games, but I will give you the Longhorns did play much better at the end of the year. I will give you that. Let's see how they look next year. John running ball over 200 yards, making Kawan Lacey non-factor, you win. Absolutely. If those 2 things happen, it's a win, and it's probably not even close. John, in your opinion, who is QB1 next year if you had to say right now? I honestly can't say because I don't know. It could be any number of guys. I honestly would have – my money a couple of weeks ago was CJ Bailey, to be quite honest with you. But then he signs with NC State. It's really hard to say. I could not tell you right now. I don't I couldn't say right now. I'll check back with you guys in a week. Hopefully celebrating a victory and a trip to the title game on my next show. But we can discuss that a little more later on, maybe next week or something. But I honestly couldn't tell you. I think there's names that they're keeping under wraps for sure. They're going to be very secretive about the quarterback. I think overall in the portal, we're doing great. And I think we're going to really patch up some holes with some starters leaving, and we're going to add some impact guys again. But it's all going to come down to the quarterback, of course. If we want to make another run like this next year, you've got to have a capable quarterback. And I have faith that we will, because Miami, they all have a plan A, a plan B, a plan, they'll have a capable quarterback. Is it going to be like a superstar? Is it going to be a Cam Ward, Carson Beck kind of sexy name? Maybe not, but it's going to be a guy that's very capable, athletic, that can come in and run the offense. At the very least, I think you're going to get somebody of quality. I have faith there. My Hollister gear just arrived tonight. Oh, nice. Nice, Popcorn. What did you get? Did you get the hat? Did you get the hoodie? Any shirt? Actually, this shirt, dude, I'm all Hollistered up. I didn't even notice. This one, they the like old school vintage Miami looking one. They came out with this one like last year. They have surprisingly good gear. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. Oh, Ohio Hurricane. Great show, John Go Canes. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. And I hope you have continued talking shit up in Ohio to some of these Ohio State nerds up there. Please, and if you haven't, please do so. John, it was 3. 2 were perfect hits. Oh, the fumbles? Yeah, we had 3 fumbles. Heatherman said OJ's 100%. That's fantastic. Good news. Carson must be aware that offensive lineman 6'8". He blocks those passes in the middle of the line. Yeah, I will say their defensive tackles are effective for sure. Eccles is a freaking monster. Very athletic, very quick, very explosive. But honestly, I think the best thing to do with him is maybe like be physical, just run right at him. Not the 6'8" guy. I'm talking Eccles. Eccles who's more like 6'2", 6'3". Or at least he's listed as 6'3". He's, again, very athletic, and I've seen him drop into coverage and knock passes down. Very anticipatory, very smart kid. Reads the QB's eyes well. But force him into just a physical trench battle. I think that's what you do against him. Maybe put a little double team on him at times. Ty Simpson could be a possibility. Yeah, Ty Simpson could be a possibility. A possibility that I would not be upset with one bit. I like Ty Simpson a lot. I think he's very talented, and he was the reason for a lot of Alabama's success, the success they did have. Him here, I think, would be perfect. Veteran guy in his 5th or 6th year, whatever it is. Older guy, can lead a young receiver group. I wouldn't mind Ty Simpson at all. Can I come in here and say, oh, you know what? If I had to decide now, it's probably going to be him. Dude, I have no freaking clue. I'll be honest with you. I have no idea. I'm tired, Dylan. Yeah. Yeah, Raiola is definitely an interesting one too. I'd rather roll with Emery, to be honest with you. Man, we're crazy. You're crazy, Popcorn. I love you, bro. You're crazy. No. Give me Ty Simpson all freaking day. You're right back in the playoffs with Ty Simpson. Put it that way. With this defense behind him, this O-line running game, and Ty Simpson, his experience, playoffs. Probably winning the ACC. Driving from California, where does everyone hang out? Oh, nice. So you're driving down. So you're driving to the game to Tempe, or to in Arizona from California. John, do you think we're getting Tyson as our quarterback? Do you mean Ty Simpson? Nice. Yes, you are. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm guessing by Tyson you mean Ty Simpson, right, George? Yeah, I'll take Ty Simpson over Emery, of course. Every time we think it's somebody, every time we think it's somebody, it's always somebody we didn't think about. Yes, no, that's what I'm saying. There's going to be some names that pop up. There's going to be names hitting the portal that we didn't expect, that they're going to be kind of a surprise. That's usually how this works. Let's see. If we win the coin toss, do you defer or go on offense first? No, you defer. I think you defer. Try to win that middle 8. If you defer and you get a stop on their first series, which is their scripted plays, you flip the game real quick. I go defense first. Deuce Knight's another one. Yeah, look, there's the veterans that are going to be out there, which will be my first choice. But then there's those young guys that maybe haven't gotten a lot of playing time yet. They haven't really become full-time starters yet, but there were blue chip recruits coming out of high school a couple years ago. They've gotten some reps here and there, but they haven't for example, I'm thinking Ole Miss right now. Austin Simmons, the backup for Chambliss, who was the starter before. Somebody like that, who I can't think of it. I'm blanking right now, but there's other guys that talented coming out of high school a couple years ago. They haven't gotten the shot yet, but bring them in, let them compete, and they can flourish here. Like when Oregon picked up Dante Moore, he wasn't setting the world on fire before he got to Oregon. John, rumors if Ty goes in the portal, he's leaning towards Tennessee. Yeah, guys have their leans, but there's money. You can always up the bag. So we'll see. I want Carson with more mobility. Yeah. Did Simmons go to Mizzou? Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he got picked up yet. But yeah, they have their plan. Let's let them work the plan. But anyway, let's get back to this because I didn't want to be on too long. I want this to be short and sweet. So I gave you guys my take where we had advantages. Again, offense, I think we have the advantage. Their offense, their passing game in particular against our defense, I think we have a chance to shut them down. But Trinidad Chambliss is an absolute magician. And if he starts scrambling around and you can't get him to the ground quick enough, it could be a long day for our defense. But we will see. I think Miami's going to play ball control. They're going to approach this kind of the same way they've been approaching every playoff game, every big game they've played this year. I think they're going to hang back early and then get a little bit more aggressive with the blitzes and all that stuff as Heatherman gets a little more comfortable and kind of figures out what they're doing. As for my prediction, and you guys can go ahead and give your score predictions in the comments, but I think Miami wins this one 27-20. I think Miami wins by a touchdown here. We hold them to a couple of field goals. They move the ball on us, but we hold them to a couple of field goals, and I think that's the main reason we win the game. I think our offense does okay. We put up 27 on the board. That's not bad. I think we control a lot of the clock, limit their possessions. And Miami will be able to put the clamps down a few times once they get past midfield on us, force them to some field goal attempts. And yeah, Miami wins 27-20. Let's go to some of your predictions. Slug Bruce, 28-13. I'm assuming you're taking Miami there. Mr. Overdose 101, Miami 28-20. Patrick Conyers 31-20 Miami. Nice. BK Kane 34-21. So you're expecting a decisive, a bit of a blowout here. Okay. In the playoffs, I consider that a blowout. 41-21. Damn. Popcorn Soda's, he's feeling it today. 41-21 Miami. Chris, just like me, 27-20 Miami. Chris Gons, Trinidad Shamlin's going to extend the play, but I think our secondary going to hold them up, jam those receivers. I just think our front four is going to close that gap surprisingly quick. I think it shocked Ohio State how quickly we were in Julian Sain's grill. I really do. I believe that shocked them. They didn't see anything like it. We were in the backfield like that on some plays. And I think it's going to surprise Ole Miss. I mean, Trinidad's a little bit more athletic than Julian Sain, obviously, but I think it's going to surprise them. Let's see. 42-17 Miami. Damn, that's a blowout. Kenty says 31-20 Miami. Pressure and lane discipline from our D-line is key. Miami 24, Ole Miss 14. Okay, so you're kind of predicting what happened against OSU. All right, I like it. Pretty much everyone's predicting Miami. Shocker. Cody. What's up, Cody? Go to your comment. 34-17 Miami. Nice. I see Florida State. Hold on. I see a Florida State type game, but we don't let them back in earlier in the year. Okay, so that we kind of pull away. We make some plays deep down the field, which, by the way, the big plays I think will be there in the passing game. It's not going to be like the last two games where the wind was a factor in game one, and game two you had essentially an NFL secondary with Ohio State. I don't think you're going to be facing that with Ole Miss. The big plays down the field will be there for Carson Beck. So I can see that. Fitzgerald also with a pick to make it 7 for the year. I like that. Do you think Trinidad Shambliss has an NFL game? I sure hope not. That's kind of what it's hinging on. If he does, they probably win, but I hope not. We got to give Josh Moore and JoJo some deep shots. Yeah, I mean, Josh Moore got a few snaps in the Ohio State game, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they take a chance and use him on a couple plays. How much do you think Corey Heatherman rotating our D-line with Ole Miss Temple Stout? He's going to have to a lot. But this is where knocking the ball down is going to be key. Forcing quick incompletions. If you force them to second and long, third and long, that's big because you're stopping the clock. You're killing their tempo game, their no huddle attack, because now you knock the ball down, they take their time a little bit more. You could sub guys quickly in, and you can kind of mess up the flow. But if they're like getting completion after completion after completion, then it's much quicker, much smoother. They don't let us sub, and they gas out our guys. But knock that ball to the turf a few times early, and that's gonna help us a great deal as far as conserving energy. Because if you just get a stat line of 11 for 12 passing to start the game, no. You don't want that. You don't want that at all. Even if they're all short passes, you don't want that. Disrupt it. Force some incompletions. I don't want to see 11 for 12. I want to see 5 for 12, 7 for 12. That I'll take. Was it just a cramp with OJ? I think it was a little bit more than a cramp. I think he got nicked up, but sounds like he's gonna be okay, hopefully. Moten Damari playing also. I hope so, sir. All right. So I gave my prediction. 27-20 Miami. Miami wins. Fiesta Bowl champs. And they go on to face the winner of Indiana and Oregon in the national championship. So I will be back on here. Oh, ankle, I think you could see it roll. I think Moten and OJ play. Doubt Damari plays. All right. Thank you, bro. Yeah. I mean, Moten and OJ, you need those guys. Damari being back will be an absolute plus. Thankfully, we were able to get the win without him last week. But yeah, man, if you can get something from all three of them, that'd be amazing. But Moten and OJ, I'd be ecstatic if both of them are in there. All right, guys. I'm gonna log off here. Wanted to keep it short and sweet, like I said, but please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Go Canes. Hopefully I'm back here on Tuesday celebrating, and we're talking about the national championship against Oregon or Indiana. I really don't care who we're playing. I will just be happy to be there. Go Canes. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.